We're here at a little creek. We're gonna do some fishing. Got to really watch out for snakes because the cottonmouths, which is the most predominant venomous snake that we have down here, they like to lay right on the edge of this water so that if they're disturbed, they can slip right down in the water. And so when you come up to the edge of these things, you really got to watch them. I don't know what this knot is. But I've used it since I was a kid. All right, we got that set up. Now we got to go find some bait. And believe it or not, that can oftentimes be the most difficult part. So, finding bait, logs, old rotten logs like this that are on the ground. A lot of times there's bugs and stuff that live underneath. Dead trees that have bark that's sloughing off. If you peel that bark back, a lot of times you could find grubs and things in there. But really rotten wood and under rocks and things like that, it's great places to look. So we're gonna see if there's anything under here. There's a little centipede. Oh, that, I don't know what that is, but that is disgusting. Gives me the heebie-jeebies. It's like some kind of disgusting, slimy worm. Maybe I won't get some nasty parasite from it. Ugh. Maybe it's two worms. That looks like something you'd find in the intestine of a animal. Sorry, buddy. Today is not your day. Get off. It's probably injecting some sort of larvae into my skin right as we speak. All right, that's the ticket right there. Oh, already getting a bite. I wonder, did they take my bait? God dang it! We're gonna have to find something different. They took that bait in like half a second. Oh, look at that. That's what I'm talking about. Big old termite in there. If I can catch it. It's a roach. That's not a termite. I don't really know what that is, but it's fish bait now. And there's another one. So here's what we're gonna do here. I'll put it in there. Put it in my pocket. Stay in there. Oh, sweet. Look at that. That's awesome. That. I have no idea what that thing is, but it looks like fish bait to me. And then here, look at that little dude. Oh. It's a little salamander in there. I'm not gonna use him. I'd feel bad about putting him on a hook. But if you needed to, that would be some excellent fish bait. Oh, that was so close. There he is. So obviously not the biggest fish, but in a survival situation you could certainly eat these and they'd be just fine. But in this area, whoops, come back here. In this area there's tons of raccoons. And so I'm gonna go ahead and just make a bet that I could catch a raccoon with this fish by making a deadfall trap. So let's go make one of those and see how it works. I'm not gonna kill this fish for a deadfall. I'm gonna let him go. But it still works the same. Plus there's no trapping season going on right now, so it would be illegal. All right, so we're a little bit farther along down this creek where we were fishing, and we're starting to get back into an area where the where the beavers have dammed it up, and there's a lot of standing water in here. And the reason I came down here is because there's a lot of coon sign in here. I was in here a few weeks ago and noticed that there was some areas where the coons will fish, and then they come up and onto these little hummocky areas and eat whatever they catch, crawfish, bluegills or whatever, snakes even. And so I'm looking for a good place where there's plenty of coon sign, but then also where there's the materials to build. There's something in the water up there. Where there's the materials to build a deadfall. There's coon tracks all along in here. So I'm looking for a log, a fairly sizable log. I'd like to find one. There's some stuff over there that might work. I'm looking for one that's, I don't know, probably 6 to 8 or 10 inches diameter. But I would like for it to be right along the edge of the water, because tends to be where the coons are naturally traveling anyway, up and down the edges of these creeks, looking for crawfish, looking for minnows and small bluegill. And so I think I may have found one. I'd rather have one set where the animals are going to be naturally versus, you know, trying to lure them in with bait. It just takes, you can do that, you can bring them into areas where they aren't normally, but it usually takes longer. Better to trap where the animals are. This is a crawfish hole, and it looks like, you can see, like, this is not natural. This is not what a crawfish hole is supposed to look like. You can tell that a coon has actually been reaching his arm in here, like fishing around trying to catch the crawfish. Like, these are normally like big, almost like chimney stacks, but you can see this one's like funneled out, and you can see the imprint from the coon's fur right in here. So you could come out here at night. These crawfish come out, they're mostly nocturnal. Probably got mud on my face. They're mostly nocturnal, and so you could come out here at night with a torch that perhaps you made out of fat wood, which will burn forever, and pick crawfish out of these creeks, or you could make a trap and bait it with some of the small bluegills that we caught earlier. I like this situation right here a lot. We've got a little beaver dam right back here. I can tell the coons have been walking across that. Got a creek running right here, and then I've got all this log that's all broken up right here. And so what I'm thinking is to take this piece, I think I can move it by myself, is to take this piece and position it on top of that piece and actually put the baited part of the deadfall right back here. And what that's going to do is it's going to give you a hard surface for when this piece drops down. It's going to give you a hard surface to smash the coon or whatever it is you're going to catch in there, versus having this thing on soft ground where it's just going to smash them into the mud. Could still kill him that way, but it's going to be a long, miserable death. By having like an anvil log like this, it's pretty quick. Let's see if we can move this thing. Oh yeah, no problem. So before I try to get this up there, I'm going to cut a couple of small, not small, but maybe wrist size pieces that I can use for posts to go on the sides of this thing. And that's going to help keep this log on here. It's also going to help funnel the animal. So this log that I chose for my deadfall has a bow in it right here, and so it's pivoting off of this point right. It's pivoting off this point right here, so I can't use the full length if I leave it in this orientation. And so I'm thinking about flipping the log over so that instead of pivoting off of this, it's going to be all the way out there at the end. And so that's going to give me more leverage and more killing power. And I think it's going to make for a quicker trap as well. Yeah, I like that. That's going to be much better. It's hot. It's terribly hot out here. I want to bind the tops of these together to help kind of squish this thing together and just help keep things tight, because when that thing falls, you don't want it to be rolling. And so I'm just going to go grab some grapevines. I can see some right here. Sometimes these grapevines are a little bit brittle. That'll work. All right, so I've got this thing pretty well, the main body of the trap all set up. Now, I want to address something that is probably one of the biggest mistakes I see people making when they're making deadfall traps, is they don't confine the animal enough. They don't guide the animal enough. And so if I was to just take this, lift it up, put my trap trigger right under this log, well, an animal's going to come up there and grab that bait stick, and they're going to pull, and when this log hits, you're going to hit the end of their nose. It's just not, the whole animal needs to be under the thing, so you smash them. You need to get on their lungs. I've heard people say that, oh, you'll break their neck or you'll smash their head or something like that, and I mean, that could happen, but the odds of that happening are not real good. And so when this falls on that animal, I want it to smash the thing. And so what I'm going to do is take some more of these uprights and build a couple of walls here so that they have to access this thing either through this way or through this way, and be actually standing on this log when this thing triggers. All right, so we're going to go ahead and start making the trigger system. This is going to be fairly big system, but we're going to do a figure 4 trigger on this trap. And so I'm going to start by making a kind of like a screwdriver shape on the end of this log, on the end of this one. Oops. Something like that. So now we need a little cross piece back in here. So I want a trigger stick that's going to stick all the way up into here. I'm going to have to go cut another one. Damn log. So now I've got to flatten this side and then make a 90 on the back to give the trigger stick a place to catch on this thing. Ah, put my notch on the wrong side. It's okay, I'll fix that. All right, got it all made. So I'm gonna set this up and then explain how all the notches work together and stuff. So I think I like the way, I like this setup. I think what I'll do is go ahead and block this side off completely, just like I've got here. Maybe even stack a couple of logs over there, because coons are bad about, they have a lot of dexterity in their front paws, their hands. And so they're real bad about reaching in from the side and grabbing things. And if that happens, it's just not gonna work. Might give him a sore paw, but you're not gonna catch him. And so, you know, I think it's worth, especially if you're trapping coons, it's worth the extra time to block this thing off so that they don't reach in, and you force them to either come in. Ideally, they would come in from that direction, but you know, I would have been better off, I think, to have made this trap the other way, so that they would come in from this direction, because I think this is where they're going to be. They're going to be traveling up and down this creek bank, and they're going to be less likely, I think, to walk around that way. So probably what they would do is, if I block this off, they're going to come right through here and walk up in here to grab the bait. But if they're already this far in the trap, this thing falls and it's going to get them, or there's a high likelihood of it. All right, so you can kind of see how this thing is working. You've got a lever arm here that's holding your deadfall up right here. You got your upright, and then these little notches that I've cut. You can see I've got about a 90 here, and this is an angle here, so you've got this pivot point. And we have a notch in this stick that this little piece is fitting into. And then your trigger stick works the same way. This piece here is pushing this way on this, which holds it tight against this upright piece. And again, there's a 90 on here. I've got both sides carved down. So I went ahead and just piled up a bunch of logs on that side and put some stuff over on this side so that they can't get to the bait from the outside. They can't get to it unless they're actually inside here. And so they could come in right through here, and I've got the bait stick kind of over on that side a little bit, so that if they climb around right here, hopefully they won't trigger that trap. It would actually be better if they came in from the other side. And so what I would probably do is go ahead and smear some fish around on that log back there, maybe put a piece of bait or two just outside of the trap down that way to hopefully draw them down there. But if they did come in from this direction, I think we're going to be fine anyway. This took a couple hours for me to build. This is going to be something that, I mean, it's a big energy expenditure. It's a lot of work to build this trap. But if you build it in an area where there is lots of game, and you're going to bait it for whatever you're trying to catch, we're going to be trying to catch coons in this one. So I'm going to be using fish, crawfish, things like that. Those are great pieces of bait. And I would take it before I set the thing, and I'm going to tie it very, very tightly to the end of that bait stick, so they can't just come and pluck it off. They're going to have to sit there and work at it to get that thing off of there. Another really good thing to do is to take your bait, your fish, and grind it up and make a patty out of it, and just smear that stuff all on that log right there, so that they're in there just digging around trying to get all those little bits and pieces. That's gonna, anything you can do to prolong the time that they're gonna spend in this trap is gonna increase your chance of catching that animal. Coon comes running along, smells the fish, either comes in that side, comes in this side. Bait's gonna be tied to the end of this stick right over here. He's gonna get in there messing around with that bait. And you got coon for dinner. There's one other thing that I want to mention about this. I've been all over this place. My scent is everywhere in here. And with coons, it's not such a big deal. They're pretty tolerant of human scent. But if you have the luxury to do it, setting these things up with just so that they're not triggered, setting them up so that they're solid, so that they can't be triggered, and pre-baiting them is always a good idea. You're going to stand a much higher chance of catching that animal if you have the ability, or you have the time and you can afford to pre-bait those traps. Let them come in there, get the bait, get comfortable, leave, and then with nothing happening, and then come back and do it again. And if they come back that second time, they're going to be much more at ease, because with all my scent around here, they're going to be a little bit cautious, they're going to be a little bit nervous, and they're not going to be as prone or as apt to go into this thing just willy-nilly, walk right up in there. But if you just go ahead and set it up, don't put the trigger mechanism in there, just prop it up just like it is right now without the trigger. Let them come in there, get the bait. They're going to be much more comfortable the next time, and you'll have you'll stand a much better chance of catching them. So pre-bait as much as you can and get them comfortable.